and welcome to this week's video. Blending done correctly is the difference between a painting that feels flat and one that feels alive. When should you blend and when should you not? In animal portraits especially, harsh edges can break the illusion of softness, while smooth transitions allow fur, light and form to read more naturally. Blending correctly will help aid the transitions of temperature and value in the fur and give us a more realistic and emotionally engaging portrait. In this video, I will show you how to blend oil paint effectively for realistic fur using a wet-on-wet approach. I'll break down when blending works, when it doesn't, and how brush choice, paint consistency, values and temperature all come together to create soft, believable transitions in a brown Labrador's coat. So let's get started. Number 1, alla prima. There are various methods of painting in layers, glazing or alla prima. The best method for blending paint in a really interesting and expressive way is alla prima. Blending while the paint is wet is crucial for creating realistic fur textures, as it allows smooth transitions between the subtle highlights and shadows that define a brown Labrador's coat. Using a wet-on-wet approach, colours can be softly merged without visible lines, mimicking the natural flow of individual hairs. If you look at my finished painting, you will see the transitions between my differing values and temperatures are pretty seamless. I could not have achieved this effect had I been working with dry paint. You have to layer wet paint on top of wet paint and work up to your lightest colours. Doing it this way ensures you don't get hard edges in any of these transitions. Wet paint is far more malleable. You can pull it about, pull edges into other edges, blend colour over colour, and it allows you to be really expressive with your strokes that is not possible with the other methods of painting. The biggest mistakes I see students making are either trying to add their lightest areas straight on top of their darkest areas without bridging up to them, or trying to add their highlights onto dry paint. It won't work. If your paint has dried, you have to repaint the whole area so that you are working wet on wet. Number 2, brushes and solvents. When working wet on wet, it is very easy to accidentally take paint off with your brushes. I would recommend using synthetic brushes as they are soft enough for this sort of painting, but firm enough to allow you to add thicker paint. I like these ones by Art Master. I will use them for as long as I can, laying the paint onto the canvas, a bit like you would lay a sticker, rather than brushing it on. Once I get to the point where they begin to take the paint off, I switch to my long hair combers by Rosemary & Co. These are really soft and you can work wet on wet very comfortably. Something to bear in mind, a flat, firmer brush will always give you a more expressive stroke than a longer, soft brush. So think about what you are trying to achieve with your brushwork. Keeping your brush clean during the painting process is important, but it's also important to really wipe off the solvent from the brush, otherwise you'll find it will remove the paint. Adding solvent to your paint will definitely make it more malleable to work with. You can thin with terps or use something like linseed oil. Both of these will help you blend your paint. However, the issue with terps is it will remove your paint very easily, so you have to be really careful with how and where you use it. The problem with linseed oil is that it can make your paint very slippery, and this will make losing control easier as well as muddying up your colours. As a general rule of thumb, I tend to use medium for my background areas where I want more expressive strokes, and I avoid it for areas where I need more control, like around the eyes. Number 3, understanding paint consistency. The consistency of your paint directly affects how smooth colours blend, which is essential when depicting the soft multi-tonal fur of a brown Labrador. Remember, paint has different consistencies depending upon the colour you use, from opaque, semi-opaque, semi-transparent or transparent. Thick, heavy, opaque paint can resist blending, leaving visible brush strokes, while overly thin, transparent colour may create unwanted streaks. Ideally, you want to achieve a creamy, buttery consistency. It allows colour to merge seamlessly without losing vibrancy. Mixing transparent colours into opaque colours will change the consistency, making them easier to blend. Plus, adding a small amount of medium to your whites can really help make it more workable. Understanding how to manipulate consistency also helps in layering. Thicker paint can be used for highlights, while thinner paint allows subtle shadows and base tones to merge naturally. I will show you later how to ensure you get a seamless blend when you move from your dark colours to your light colours. Number 4, values and temperature. Blending on its own will not give you a realistic painting. It is really important to pay attention to your values. I find turning my reference photo into black and white really helpful for this kind of portrait. It is very easy to overestimate how light your highlights are. They are rarely white. Get your big shapes in first. For example, this whole area down the right side is in shadow, so that is one big shape. I establish that first, then I can add my small shapes in with my subtle value shifts. Notice how the side of the face and the leg blend into each other. I can pull my edges straight into each other to give a seamless blend. Whilst I have the subtlety of that cheek, I also have the overall shape of the leg. In order to talk about temperature, I will need to show you my palette. I am using cadmium yellow light, yellow ochre light, transparent yellow oxide, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, transparent red oxide, ultramarine deep and titanium zinc white. I have a range of colours from opaque to transparent. I then arrange my mixed colours in warm and cool blocks. This orange should really be up here, but I ran out of room. I have mixed a black red, a red purple and 3 red oranges. I have also mixed a black green and 2 other lighter value greens. I am working with the 2 complementary colours of orange and blue and green and red. Remember, if you mix complementaries together, this gives you a brown. One colour is warm and one is cool. Here my blue and my green are cool. My reds and oranges are warm. So I have a very clear, warm and cool palette to work from. This is important because for a successful painting, you need both warm and cool colours present. If I am mixing a brown from a red and a green and I want it warmer, I add more red. If I want it cooler, I can add more green. Also bear in mind, white is also a cool colour, so I can use this too. The result is really obvious colour shifts across my painting. You can clearly see the warm areas and then the cool areas next to them. Notice I always have a warm area next to a cool area. Also, these colours are not fixed. Remember, these are mixes, so I can adjust these where I want. For example, more alizarin crimson or perhaps transparent red oxide. Number 5, how to lay your paint. Big shapes, small shapes. Identify the temperature and value blocks of your big shapes. This area here is a large cool block, so I can choose an average value and temperature and start to block it in. Do not use medium, as we want to be able to paint over it easily. I'll then begin to adjust the values and temperatures of my small shapes within this large shape. I will add my colour straight over the top. You can get pretty expressive with your strokes and really pull that paint around. This method ensures soft edges. Where I want harder edges, I will paint shapes individually and then join up my edges. Where I want soft edges, I will paint wet on wet. If you are not sure which edges are hard and which are soft, squint at your reference photo and if you can clearly see the edges, they will be hard. To sum up then, blending is not about smoothing everything out, but about making intentional choices that support form, value and temperature. By working wet on wet, controlling paint consistency, choosing the right brushes, and thinking in big shapes before small ones, you can create soft, believable transitions that bring fur to life. With practice and patience, these techniques will help you create more natural, confident, and emotionally engaging animal portraits. If you would like to come and paint with me, join my workshop on the 3rd of July. You'll find the link in the description below. There are also more details of lesson opportunities on my website, Sarah Halliday Art. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future painting tips. Thank you for watching and see you next week.